Hi, this is David at Art David Smith. Firstly, apologies for not doing a video last week, but at Christmas time it tends to be my busiest period for commissions. So I was busily doing people's Christmas presents last week, so apologies again for that. So it's now the run up to Christmas. I thought I'd do something just a little bit more light-hearted, and obviously the explosion on the internet is all about Baby Yoda. So as one of my favourite characters from obviously the Star Wars films, the Baby Yoda character has been really appealing to me. So what I thought I'd do is break it down into bite-sized elements, making it easier for anybody who fancies having a go at drawing a Baby Yoda, kind of the steps, what you need to be looking at to follow. So what I've got on the page already is a rectangle, obviously two triangles, and then what we're doing is putting an oval within this rectangle. Now it doesn't have to be the same as mine, but if you wanted to know, the rectangle is 14 centimeters across. We are looking at 10 centimeters high, and the triangle's 11 centimeters wide and just over 6 centimeters. So it doesn't have to be accurate, but just for anybody who wants to try and make it the same size as mine, they're the dimensions I'm intending to use. Now, when you look at the Baby Yoda face, it's obviously oval in shape with these two obviously very large ears. So we're going with the oval here. Once we've got the oval within the rectangle, we're then going to start softening this shape, because we don't want these very harsh shapes around there. So I'm going to soften the top of the head. And again, I'm drawing this as ever a lot darker than I normally would, but that's so you can see that on the camera. As we move into the ears, again we're softening the shape, so even though we've got this harsh triangle here, we're going to soften it by just altering the lines slightly, making them a little bit more organic in their shape. We move down into the cheek areas. It's quite a handy one, this one, because some of the exercises what I'd like to do into the new year will involve, I suppose, a bit more of the type of stuff I do when I'm not drawing pet commissions. I'm doing book illustrations, as in the Kragan and things like that. So this is a good way of bridging that gap, I suppose, because what I'm wanting to do is do a few videos on how to draw, I suppose, beasties, monsters, creatures and things like that, which feature quite heavily in a lot of the books I tend to do. So what I want to do is do a series of those, how to come up with your own monsters, characters, things like that, if you ever fancy going into book illustration yourself, I suppose. As you can see, I'm just, whatever I'm doing on the one ear, I'm trying to do over onto the other ear. But knocking out those very geometric shapes what we started with. I just need to head up a little bit more than that. Again, any of these lines we can knock out with the eraser afterwards when we're cleaning it up. So in regards to the eyes, we want the plane, I suppose a bit like when we were doing the drawing of the face, the plane where the eyes are going to sit, the centre line for where the nose and the mouth are going to lie. So, in regards to the eyes for this character, obviously the eyes are really massive in the shape of the face, the overall shape. So I'm roughly going to drop those in this area, and then you can immediately start to see if it's going to be too large. You can take them down a touch, and rather than the eyeball itself, I think this size, I suppose this will be the outer eyelid area or the base of the brows, will then put the brow area in. And again, if at any point you're not happy with the sizings, rather than throw them away like some of you have said, rub them out. At least if you've got a line to work to, you know you're not going to draw it that size again. And if you've been drawing it light enough, the lines should be able to be knocked out with an eraser quite easily. So don't worry about it, just have another go. So putting in the base of the eyes here. Now, I've got to admit, when I first saw Yoda as a kid, he absolutely terrified me. But then, in later years, he just become one of my favourite characters in obviously a franchise of films that, for anybody of my age, absolutely adore. Particularly films 4, 5 and 6, or as we knew them, the first 3 films. So see the shape of the face starting to form up now. So we just tend to have a little bags underneath his eyes as well, so we'll pop those in at this stage. Another video I'm hoping to release just before Christmas is going to be a Christmas related one as well. Just obviously mark the season. A little thank you to everybody who's been following the videos, having a go, liking, subscribing. So again, really appreciate that. If you can convince anybody else, or if you're watching this video for the first time, please think about subscribing. At this stage, all those subscriptions really do count, so very much appreciated. We're just going to move into, it's got a slightly lumpy bumpy head, I suppose. Just going to put those in lightly. And then the mouth. Sit it into this area. The good thing is when you start something like this, if it's a case of generating ideas, say you were doing your own kids book or something like that and you wanted characters, obviously once you've got the base here, you can play with the size of the ears, with the size of the nose very easily, and come up with a whole new subspecies of character, and that's how I tend to work. Start with, do a bit of a mood board of the type of character I would like to come up with, and then play with it from that point onwards. So then what I'm doing is experimenting, moving, changing the shape of the eyes, changing the size of the eyes. So obviously this little chap's very large eyes in all the pictures that we've seen. Giant pupils going in. And just like when we were drawing the realistic face, the highlights and the darkness of the pupil and how we build the eye up and everything else are all the same really, just because we're drawing Yoda in this instance. Start knocking that out. Again, as we get to the base of the eye, and so you can obviously watch that video back as well. Start getting to the base of the eye. Tends to be a little bit lighter, this part of the pupil, than at the top. That's picking up some of the reflection bouncing off of the floors. Quickly put that in. The eyes are really quite dark, but you still see some of the detail in there. So again, just like we referred to in the drawing of the eye video, a lot of those lessons are similar, even though I'm firing this darkness in very quickly. Trying to make sure everything works from the centre on the iris. So, kind of going in for the finer details now. Now, Yoda does have some little bit of tufty hair growing there on the head, so just kind of throwing that in at the moment. Quite light and fluffy, nothing too heavy. And when we get to the ears, putting a bit more detail into these as well. And what we can do off camera or when you finish watching the video is play with the tonal values. This is literally concentrating on the line drawing. After that, you can then shade into this to your heart's content. I'll do a bit of shading off of camera, cleaning up. apart from a little bit of extra fluff on the top of the ears, and obviously the shading detail. That is about that. So just to reiterate, we started with a rectangle, changed the central part of it into an oval or a lozenge shape, then with the aid of 2 triangles stuck onto the sides to form the ears, we softened the shape, softened the triangles of the ears to form ears, and worked into it obviously with the eye details and everything else like you see before you. So just a quick one this week, but at least it's showing you with just a few simple shapes how you can construct your own Baby Yoda. But thank you for watching, thank you for your continued support, and I'll catch you on the next video. All the best. Thank you.